Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Welcome back. Tonight we are here at our roundtable to break down for you exactly what is happening out there in the world. You are witnessing community organizers doing their very, very best to try and nullify President-elect Donald Trump. It is no coincidence that these protests were ready to go across the country immediately following this announcement that he would be the 45th president. So these are Alinskyite tactics. Now, who's Saul Alinsky? We've told you about him a lot. He wrote the book on community organizing. He's considered to be the guru of community organizers. President Obama is a famous community organizer. And Hillary Clinton actually wrote her college thesis on Saul Alinsky's tactics as well. This is Alinsky, who dedicated his book, Rules for Radicals, to Lucifer, who he considered to be the original radical, who, overthrew a kingdom or rebelled and got a whole entire kingdom to himself. So a lot of internet trolls like to use Alinsky's tactics as well. So this is very important that we break these down, see how the left is using these tools. They've been using them for decades, and we probably didn't even realize it. You have to understand the tactics that your enemy is using. So let's go ahead and get into these rules for radicals so we can expose and neutralize. So first rule, power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have.
Yeah, and it also goes on. It says power is derived from two main sources, money and people. Have-nots must build power from flesh and blood. And I think that this can be illustrated in the sense where what we're seeing here is it's well known now that George Soros and the Democratic Initiative is to fund these protests. They're bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars to fund this stuff. And now we're seeing it in the streets. People are getting bussed in. So what you have here is the power being derived from the people that have the money. And then the have-nots, which are the people that don't have the money, are the ones that are the flesh and blood out on the streets, actually fighting for the people who have the money and the power's cause. So that's what you're seeing here with rule number one. And like you said, Leanne, these are tactics that have been used for a long time, but now we're starting to exemplify them, illustrate them, and see examples of them in the streets.
Right, absolutely. And of course, I know with the media, for example, using the polls to kind of say, you have no chance, you have no choice, using the media to say, we have all the power, Trump, you're going to lose. So we'll just kind of quickly roll through these. So the second rule, never go outside the experience of your people. Perfect example of this. Over the weekend, Fox News had a bunch of interviews with some of these protesters, and they were saying, why are you protesting? And they would just kind of stare blankly.
They were out of their comfort zone.
I have no idea.
Exactly.
But Trump is a racist, sexist, homophobe. So you don't want your people that you're organizing, you don't want them to go talk to the media and get in front of a camera and try to explain why they are out there protesting, because that's not their job. Their job is to just go create a commotion. So, there's a second rule, which their people failed.
And that's why they won't answer questions too.
Right.
Because they
outside
can't.
Of their influence.
They actually cannot. I don't know if you guys saw this video really quickly, but they were struggling to even come up with one reason why they disliked Trump. It was like they couldn't do it. It was
or at least
embarrassing.
an original thought, something that wasn't just hearsay.
Well, what did he say that was racist? Well, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. He's just a racist, sexist, homophobe. So those are perfect examples. Okay, so 3, whenever possible, go outside of the experience of the enemy. So this is something like the enemy would be forced to address irrelevant issues. Perfect example is when they came after Trump about the bathroom bill, but then they couldn't roll with that one because he didn't give them the answer that they were expecting. He was like, I don't care. Caitlyn Jenner can use my bathroom, whatever. So there they that story died, dead in the water. No one remembers Trump wants Caitlyn Jenner to use his bathroom, whatever. Okay, so number 4, make the enemy live up to their own set of rules. So if the rule is that every letter gets a reply, you make them write 30,000 reply letters, and basically you swamp their resources. Their credibility is at stake here. And we've seen this tactic used a lot against Christians. So they'll say, well, Jesus wouldn't do that. What would Jesus do? And so you kind of put them to where they have to explain their actions based on their own rule book. 5, I know Margaret, you said we could all kind of talk for hours about this
Right.
one. Ridicule is
Oh my
man's
gosh.
most potent weapon. And we've been seeing this again and again for the last year and a half, constant ridicule of both Trump and his supporters.
It's unbelievable. So you womanizer, you racist, it's over and over and over. And they've done such a successful job of beating this into their SJW warriors. And, you know, that brainwashing tactic of ridicule, ridicule's been really powerful. You know, this is something innately we understand as humans from the time we're 3 years old. We learn it on the playground, but you never see that evolve because ridicule in its most basic form is very preschool-like. So they're taking a preschool tactic and it's not even developed as an adult. You just
Right.
keep going with the ridicule. It's
Or we have
And they
very
appear
basic.
very childish,
We
too.
also have a
Right.
video up right now about all the people who were laughing at Trump, saying you're never going to be president. Obama going out on the talk shows or the comedy shows and saying, you know, you're not going to be president. Everyone laughs uproariously.
John Oliver, I dare you, Donald.
Yeah.
I dare you to run for president. I dare you.
Or Hillary
Be careful
Clinton,
what you wish for.
Hillary Clinton coming out and making a big joke of Trump's remarks at the debate, how he wasn't sure. He would have to see if
That's
he
right.
would agree to the peaceful transition of power. And now look at them.
not only that, but we have an article. It's from the New York Times where literally Stephen Bannon. So they've already won the election. He's already been appointed the chief strategist. He's the chief swamp drainer on his Twitter. And yet the only thing they can come up with is racist white supremacist. That's literally the title.
And it's getting old.
It's getting old.
So, and then that kind of goes on to the next one. A good tactic is one that your people enjoy. You don't want to get people bored with this protesting, you know, yelling, trolling, breaking stuff. Everybody loves that.
Well, so and here's what you got. So you got to pay for the people, you know, to perhaps travel to a different city or, you know, go out of their way to be
Get
a
them
part
out
of
of their exams.
to be
People
a part of
enjoy
the
it.
larger protests, right, where they have the numbers. But the point here is to get them doing something they enjoy. They don't have to pay these high school students to go out and beat up Trump supporters. They genuinely like doing that. This,
Right.
you know, they wanted to beat someone up. Now they think there's a political point behind it and they're justified by the mainstream news and Obama. They go out and do it. Homes vandalized with anti-Trump messages. Again, these, for whatever reason, you know, you can get to the psychology of this, but nobody had to pay them to go vandalize these homes. Nobody probably asked them to go vandalize these homes. They felt that it's, you know, obviously Trump, I mean, he's the biggest racist ever. He's a bigot, so they have to do something about it. So what did they do? They did something they enjoyed. They enjoy going out and vandalizing. They enjoy going out and destroying property. That's their psychology. So of course, these are the people that the Democrats have catered to, and we know that this is going on.
Right. And then so that kind of ties into the next one. A tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. So you don't want to, Occupy movement, perfect example of this. They were out there for such a long time that it kind of lost its intensity, reusing the same argument again and again, or the same name calling, racist, sexist, homophobic. It's losing its power. Rule number 8. I'm sorry, Margaret, did you want to?
No. I was just going to say back to the point of you enjoy it. Do something that everyone enjoys. Well, of course you enjoy it as long as it's not your home or unless it's not you getting the
Right.
crap kicked
It's
out
not
of
your
you.
city.
It's selective enjoyment only. It's enjoyment for the bad guys, if you will. The innocent being preyed upon. That's not enjoyable for you at all. Let me just stress that.
So
Not
Thank you for
universally
clarifying
enjoyed.
that. I did not enjoy
rule number
that.
8, keep the pressure on with different tactics and actions. Utilize all events of the period for your purpose. Of course, we can see at these protests, they've got all the movements all rolled into one. The Black Lives Matter, LGBT, feminism, Palestine. It's like all the present day things. We're all going to fight you all at once.
And it's funded by the same people, which brings us back to rule number 1, George Soros.
Yes, Soros riots. Rule number 9, the threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Okay, Trump is literally Hitler. He's going to gas all the disabled people and deport your families. He's literally, so here it's like simmer down. Obviously, the thing itself is not that terrifying. 10,
But which is why they get justified to do it.
yeah.
As
Okay.
if it's really that bad. Go ahead, Leanne.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to speed through these. 10, maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition, never let up. And of course, we saw that they gave us zero time to celebrate this victory. They rolled out these protests across the nation like that. So constant pressure, never letting up. 11, if you push a negative hard enough, it will break through into the counter side. Perfect example, they were sending out agitprop protesters to the Trump rallies, specifically targeting, as we learned through Project Veritas, specifically targeting people that they thought were like mentally ill, that they knew they could rile up, so that they would get beat up and then they would run to the media and try to gain sympathy and say, see how awful Trump supporters are. So there's that one. 12, the price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. You know they're not doing these protests for nothing. They want to, they have the alternative. Their compromise is going to be a win. And then 13, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. And this one has been the most damaging. They've really attacked Trump personally. He's racist, sexist, tried to ruin his brand entirely. We'll be talking more about this all week. Sorry, our time is up. Thank you so much for watching the show tonight, and we will see you here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.